When you start living with the end in mind, everything starts to change. What are people going to say about you? What message is your life going to speak when you're long gone? Because you weren't born by accident. You didn't just happen to be where you're at and happen to watch this video. There is always a reason.
Just want to welcome you guys to our Fuse Life podcast, episode number 33. As you know, at Fuse Life, we're all about finding and engaging your God-given purpose. And my guest today is walking right into hers, and I'm super excited to have Mama Suzette with us. So, Suzette, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I was really honored to meet you in Vacaville last year, and even now, with everything going on, for you to just jump in your car to do this podcast episode with me, I'm really honored. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Yeah, I'm sorry that it's in the car. I had other plans, but we'll make it happen here.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, that just shows your heart. Like, you could easily have changed your plans and stuff, but so thank you so much. Yeah, so just to start off, maybe you can tell people who you are and a little bit about where you are at right now in your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Joseph said, my name is Suzette Adao. I am the wife of Pedro Adao, the, creator of 100X. I'm the co-creator. Well, the creator is God, is Jesus, but I'm not afraid to say it. I'm 45 years young, and I live in Vacaville, California. We have 3 children, the age of 19, 18, and 16. So yes, teenage years. It's very interesting, to say the least. And, right now in my life, I'm just coming out, I guess, like Joseph said, I'm coming out of a cocoon. And, we, both myself and I've been married for, it's coming up to 23 years now in marriage.
Wow.
And like anyone that's married knows that there are definitely some seasons in marriages. And I've gone through a few of myself. And I have to say, yes, it feels like 23 years is a long time, but it really isn't. If you think about it, 23 years, you're kind of figuring things out. I feel that way. So, and as we're kind of figuring ourselves out after 23 or almost 23 years of marriage, it's amazing. It really is amazing how really the season that we have entered right now, the season that I have entered right now is blowing me away. It's like I'm kind of feeling like I'm in a dream. Because I never thought 3 years ago where we were coming out of one of the roughest seasons of our lives. I would never thought 3 years ago that this was going to be my life now, Wow. And it's just so exciting because every day there's something new. And it's something that is not necessarily like sought out or planned ahead. We are literally just walking through what God is literally showing us and showing me what to do and what my next step is going to be. So I think that just really, that's very exciting for me. So that's kind of where I'm at now. That's who I am. That's my children, my husband, and I'm really excited about this season that I'm in right now.
Yeah, wow. So, guys, if you don't know 100X, you must have been under a rock, but we've talked about 100X many times here on this podcast. We have Pedro on here. You can check out 100xacademy.com. And there's something crazy going on with Kingdom entrepreneurship right now. And so Suzette actually has the craziest role of all in this journey. And we're probably going to talk a little bit about that, but maybe we can rewind all the way back, like, where you grew up, a little bit about your story until you met Pedro.
Yeah. So I am Portuguese. I'm 100% Portuguese. I mean, of course, without taking a DNA test, but Both my parents are full-blooded Portuguese. I'm actually a second generation on my mother's side. She was already born here in the country. My father was born in the Azore Islands of Portugal. Came to this country when he was I believe he was about 16 years old when he came here. Born and raised in California, and primarily grew up with my grandmother and my mom in the home. My parents got divorced when I was a young age. And so I had that, the grandmother in that household and my mother, and they were both very strong women. That loved hospitality, that loved cooking, that loved their culture, they loved people. Oh my goodness, they loved people. They still do. They love people. My grandmother has dementia. She's 97 years old. But even now with her dementia, you could still see the love for people and in her family. So that was kind of like my root, were these two very strong women that taught me hospitality and how to love well. And so being Portuguese, in a strong community, we had, culturally, we had clubs. We had, a lot of festivals. We had a lot of, dances, a lot of dinners, and we would just come together in the community. And basically that's kind of how I met Pedro. I've known him all my life. Since we were in diapers. Our parents knew each other, beforehand. So we grew up in the Portuguese community, and we grew up going to these Portuguese dances, and we were in a Portuguese kind of a youth group. And that kind of taught us kind of our roots and our history, being Portuguese. So, and from there, being about 18 years old, one of Pedro's friends came to me and said, "Hey, do you know Pedro likes you?" And I'm like, "No, we've known each other all our lives, and we're just friends, and our brothers were really good friends." And from there, he had to chase me a little bit, because it was in the beginning was kind of weird because we were really good friends. And honestly, one day I sat with a pen and pencil, and I wrote down all the qualities I wanted in a husband. Now, mind you, I was only 18 years old, right? So still very young, but I knew in my heart, I knew that marriage and a family was for me. School was not my thing. Was not my thing. I had a really hard time in school. I'm dyslexic. So, just education was just a very hard thing for me. So I always knew that I wanted a family. I wanted to get married. And see, I'm kind of getting a little emotional right now. And so I already knew, So I already knew that. Now, at 18 years old, I was not, I was a believer in Christ. I kind of was brought up Catholic, baptized. We were married in the Catholic Church, but I was not a born again Christian. That happened at around 30 years of age for me. Okay. And so even at 18 years old, I had a special connection with God. And so when I wrote down that list of what I wanted for a husband, it matched up everything of Pedro. Everything, So I got over that part where he was just a friend. And, I remember him going away for a summer to Portugal and missing him because, during the summer we would go to these Portuguese dances and he was away to Portugal and he was gone for like 3 months. And I remember we were at a dance and I was sitting down and everybody was dancing. And usually I was always wanting to be Pedro's dance partner because he was an amazing dancer. He still is an amazing dancer. He's just lazy right now. He's lazy and doesn't want to dance very much. Yeah. But so he was an amazing dancer and I always wanted to be his partner. And I remember sitting down and going, oh my gosh, I really miss him. And feeling like, wait a minute here. This is not a way that I would miss a normal friend. There was something more than that. And so I remember the week before he came home calling his mom and saying, hey, do you think I could go with you to pick up Pedro at the airport? Wow. And a little bit more of a story is before he went to Portugal, he confessed his love to me. And unfortunately, I said, no, we're just friends. I don't, And so And so, long story short, I went to the airport and I surprised him. And from there, it was history. From there, we only dated for 6 months. We got engaged, and 2 years later, we were married. We were married at the young age of 22.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was a love story that, we already knew everything about each other. We were young. So really getting married, we grew up together. We learned together. We grew together. I would say our first 10 years of marriage, we grew up. We had to grow up together. We basically came from our parents' house, and now we had our own household. So we had to learn how to grow up together and be adults together.
Yeah.
So, And so at the age of 30 is when we were born again. Yeah. So Pedro has told his story before, is through a friend. She had cancer, breast cancer. And she, a few times she would invite us to a church and she, to a Bible-based church. And she would say, come, you need to come. You would love it. You would love it. And we're like, no, we're good. We're going we're going to our Sunday night services at the Catholic church. And long story short is during the her time of death, we saw this community around her that was amazing. I mean, and Pedro's like, wow, this is like this church community. Like, I need to see what this is for myself. Like, these people are just beautiful people and loving people. And I need to check out this church. And he did. After her, at her funeral, actually, Pedro got saved at her funeral. And the next week he went to the first church service, and it took me about a month to come along aside of Pedro and come to and I just received church I just received Christ that day in my heart, even though I already had received it in my heart. I was already a believer in Christ. I already knew that he was the son of God, and I already knew everything, but I had more of a personal relationship, a deeper understanding of who he was in my life. And how I could have a personal reason, how I could speak to him and how I could hear him and all of that. It started at the age of 30 for me. So not very long ago, 15 years ago. So I could say that I'm still a very baby Christian and still, and still learning a lot. So, so that was my story. That's my story of, Pedro Adao and dating and marriage and becoming saved.
So let's transition here, because like you wanted to title this I Do Have a Name. I think that's so powerful, even now, as like I'll be married 9 years next month and we have 2 kids with a third one on the way, and I can see how easy it would be for my wife to just end up behind a curtain and not feel like she has an identity outside of me and outside of what I'm doing. Right. Can you talk us through a little bit about that? From 30 to now, what kind of went on inside you?
Yeah. So by 30 years old, I was having my last child. So Antonio is 16 years old. And I had them pretty close together, all 3 of them, 19, 18, and 16 are pretty close in age. So I got myself, after my second child was born, I stayed home. I was a stay-at-home mom. And I just got my identity wrapped up as being a mom, really, in that season. Not even so much a wife. I wasn't. I was just so focused of being a mom. And that was my identity at that point. And, at that point, Pedro made a decision to go, to start being more of an entrepreneur. He left more of his corporate job and went in full time into real estate at that time. And he was doing his thing. I was at home. I was doing my thing with the kids. And we weren't really coming into the middle. Like really, it's like he was going to the right. I was going to the left. And I was losing my identity. I was really losing my identity. And it got to a point where I started having this identity is I was just Pedro Adao's wife. He started to get a little bit more, successful in the real estate estate business, and our I guess our friendship circle started to get larger with that community, and I was just Pedro Adao's wife. That I felt very frumpy. I felt that I was just a stay-home mom. I felt like I had no purpose at that point. I didn't even know what my purpose was, honestly. At that point I thought, okay, it was just being a mom. That's my purpose, even though that is a great purpose.
Yeah.
It's like there's some people that are called to that, right? And but I felt like there was always something missing, And so there were just so many years that I felt that I was just Pedro Adao's wife. Excuse me. That we had winds so bad here in Vacaville. My allergies are terrible right now.
Right.
So
Okay, that's all right.
this. I know it's been so windy, so my nose and my throat have been terrible. So, so I lost myself in that. I lost my identity. I just felt like I was Pedro Adao's wife, or I was just home with the kids, and until something happened. I'm going to be a little bit more vulnerable right here and say about my 9th year of marriage was not good. We struggled in our marriage to the point we had to seek out counseling, because again, he was going to the left, I was going to the right, and he was finding his purpose in life. He was finding his step, and I was going backwards. I was being more of an introvert, which I wasn't. I was never an introvert. I was very outgoing and always wanted to go do stuff. And I wasn't. All I wanted to do was be in a shell at home. And so that wasn't working very well in our marriage, And so our 9th, 10th year of marriage was very, very rough for us.
Oh, I think we lost her. So if you're on here, just stay with us. You'll probably come back on. In case you didn't begin it, there's something that came up for Suzette, and so she ended up having to be outside of the office, and so she doesn't have Wi-Fi, and she still decided to tune in for us, and so I really appreciate that. So she'll probably jump back on soon, and I will entertain you till then. Man, this is amazing. I think that this episode is really powerful, so I'm not surprised that maybe there's some technical issues, because many women lose that identity. And I'm so glad to have someone here who's now talking us through that journey, because I believe God is raising up these women that are going to put in a big space. Well, there she is.
Could you hear me, Joseph?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
That's all good.
And of course, being on the phone, I was getting a phone call. That was, I think that's what the problem was.
Yep.
Yeah. Not good planning on this part. So,
that's so good.
Okay. So back what I was saying, through that 9th and 10th year of marriage, when we were doing counseling, Pedro came to me and said, I think we need to do everything together. We're married. We're one. So any decision that's inside the house, dealing with parenting of the kids and raising the kids, and the business side of it, we have to be one. So at that time, then I went all in with the business. I was in every part of the meetings, the deciding factors. At that time, we were flipping homes. I went full in. I went full in of designing the homes and just being more of a part of his world. And then he became more involved in, because for a while he was just allowing me to raise the kids, and he was like, okay, I'll be the provider. You stay home. You take care of the kids. And we just realized at that time that was not working. And so once I started becoming more involved in the business, I started finding my heartbeat. I started finding that I could be someone outside of the home. And so I think that's really important, especially being a spouse of an entrepreneur. I really believe that's really important, is to partner up with your husband or your or your wife. And not, you don't have to be a part of the day in and day out if you don't want to in the business, but you have to be almost that business partner. You have to be that business partner with your spouse.
Love it. Yeah.
And because there's more of an understanding with that. I had more of an understanding what my husband went through his day in and day out. I understood, his excitement or his downfalls or his sadness. So I had more of a connection that way, and from the beginning of 15 years ago, when I started this journey of walking with him in business, you're always more powerful when you're two, when it's both of you, when it's a husband and wife, no matter what it is. If you're, if you're in real estate, if you're, especially if that other spouse not necessarily have their own path in career. And even if you do, you could still partner up with that entrepreneur spouse, right? Because you could have an entrepreneur in the household, but then you could have someone that works a 9-to-5 job, corporate job, or that's a doctor or a lawyer, or, someone else that has their own career, right? But I really believe that even if that in those cases, you could still partner up, because an entrepreneur, as you know, Joseph, there's a different brain. There's a different brain, right? And that brain is you're a creator. There's a creation even more inside of you. And I really believe that you need that support of your spouse to understand that, because it could look crazy. It's crazy. People don't understand it. People on the outside that don't have the entrepreneur mindset do not understand it. They think you're crazy. They think, why would you take all that risk? Why would you why would you invest that much? Why wouldn't you just be comfortable with a 9-to-5 job, right? But we're all wired differently. We're all wired differently. And so I had to understand how my husband was wired. I had to learn that process of how he was wired. And so with that, I started to find myself. But I truly did not. But when it really was an aha moment for me, and when I finally truly found my passion and my purpose, my true passion and my purpose, is the day that a 100X was birthed. The day that 100X was birthed, I almost felt like, and Pedro felt like this too, 100X was birthed for us first, for him and for me.
Wow.
Because in the last 19 months, I have became a different person. I have came out of the cocoon. Even though I started to come out of the cocoon, I'm literally evolving in this butterfly where I always knew deep down I had a passion for cooking, and I had a passion for hosting and being just loving on people. I have now a vehicle. I have a vehicle now that I could literally display that I could literally just put all of my heartbeat towards that.
Wow.
And I feel that now I'm stepping into my true purpose and my true passion, and it's serving. It's serving. It's serving. And that's all started back from my grandmother and my mother.
Wow.
Of them just welcoming people. And so, and that whole thing, I remember the 100X conference, our first one, standing on stage and saying, one day I will write a book. And it's going to say, I do have a name. I'm not just Pedro Adao's wife.
Come on.
I do have a name. I don't have to be in his shadow anymore. I don't have to be in his shadow. Now, I could walk alongside of him, and our shadows could collide. Our shadows could be one, right? But I don't just have to be in his shadow anymore.
Come on. I love it.
I have my own beat. I have my own path. And I want to walk alongside of him. And I think that both of us are our purpose in life are literally is one. It's a heart being one. He has his own passion, He has his own passion and his own direction, and I am walking alongside of him, next to his shadow, moving at the same pace.
Yeah, come on.
Hey guys, I just want to take a quick minute to tell you about our Royal Hybrids group coaching program. Over a year ago, the Lord started speaking to me about a group of people, a tribe that would only get their value, their affirmation, that would only get their identity from who they are in God and nothing else. And from that place, they were going to do great things on the earth. In the last year, we have seen a whole bunch of people jump into our program, solidify themselves in their identity with God, and from that place, actually start to engage their purpose. Fuse Life talks about the 6 trees: your spirit, your soul, your body, and then your relationships, your finances, and your purpose. We have seen a whole bunch of people come through this, get solidified in who they are, and then begin their own projects, whether it's a teen mums project, whether it's a coaching, counseling business, or a painting business, or publishing your children's book, or publishing a puzzle book. We have seen people do all of these kind of things, and we just know that this is just the beginning. So you want to go to www.fusebornformore.com/Royal Hybrids, or just click the link in the caption and make sure to check out what we are doing. We would love to have you as part of our tribe. Now, back to the podcast.
So let's talk about this a little bit. So before he even suggests 100X or it becomes something, he's already an entrepreneur. He's already doing a whole bunch of things. What's it like as a wife who wants security and who wants some kind of like understanding? Maybe you can talk about that, because there might be women here who maybe don't even get it, or, you know?
Yeah. No, very scary. Being a wife of an entrepreneur is very scary, and I'll tell you why. In the beginning, it was not scary at all. We were doing wonderful. Money was coming in. We had a very successful business until we didn't, until we lost it all. Our real estate business went completely under, and the worst way possible. Worst way possible. You know, when you're owing money to the bank is one thing, but when you're owing money to family and friends is a whole different story.
Wow,
it takes a whole different, it destroys you. Yeah. So during that time of our debacle of our real estate business, I had a husband that was very depressed, didn't have any motivation. Our business was going under, and he lost himself. He lost his identity. He was just devastated. He was devastated. And so that security of being that wife, because I was a stay-at-home mom, I supported the business, but I didn't have my own income. My income came from not having that support, that financial support, and relying on my husband to bring in money was something that I had to deal with. It was very hard. And it was my first time that I felt that I was going in lack. I mean, Joseph, there was a time that I went to my mom's house to go grocery shopping. There was some months that we didn't have enough money to go grocery shopping. And so I would go to my mom's house, which looks like a mini Costco, by the way, if anybody knows my mom. Her house looks like Costco. I would go shopping, toilet paper, paper towels. She would make us food. I mean, literally both my mother-in-law and my mother-in-law, between my mother-in-law and my mom, like literally helped me put food on the table. Kept my kids in private school for that season.
Wow.
Like it was like to put money for our cars. We would put like $10 at a time. But I knew God's promise. I knew that was a season. I believed in my husband. I believed in my husband to be able to create wealth.
Wow.
It was a season he was having. A very hard season. A season that we would never want to go through again. But we learned a lot. Oh my God, Joseph, we learned so much. If you do not learn in your downs, you will never prosper to the fullest of your ups.
Wow.
If you do not learn, if you really do not face every single ounce of fear, disappointment, doubt of your lows, you will never get it fully on your highs.
Wow.
So, so the security of a spouse, of an entrepreneur could be scary. It's like a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It is a straight roller coaster. And you have to be all in. Buckle in.
Yeah.
Buckle in, right? Because you will have those seasons. All entrepreneurs have them. You have to invest in to be able to receive. Right?
Yeah.
Without you investing money, how are you ever going to be able to feel that you are on your full capacity in that venture? Right?
Yeah.
So there is that take. There is that little bit of that fear of the unknown, but you have to have faith that God has your back,
Yeah.
So,
Man. Wow. Okay, so now you get to 100x. 100x is beginning, and now you're like, oh, here we go. This guy's going again, right? And then it begins, and you do your first live video. I still remember your live video. You were a different woman. I have watched you come out, the hesitancy is gone, the kind of unsure voice is gone. Yeah. I love it. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. When you did your first live, how were you feeling? And what were you going through?
Literally, it took me days to prep myself just to press the button live. I've never done a live video on Facebook. I mean, literally before 100x, I had an idea that people were doing lives, that were sharing life on lives, but not me. That was not something that I was wanting to do. It was very scary, but it's so true. Pedro says this all the time. You have to practice. You have to put yourself out there. You have to listen to your own voice. You have to be okay for messing up. You have to be okay that you stumble your words. For me, I'm a woman of making up words. Pedro always makes fun of me. I make up words that are really not words, but that's okay. People understand me. Even if I say a word that is not technically in the dictionary, just flow. Just flow with me, right?
Yeah.
And I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay for messing up. I had to be okay not wearing makeup, not having my hair done. It was okay because half the time that's me. Half the time I have my hair in a ponytail. Half the time I have no makeup on. Half the time I am the mom in the household cooking dinner. Yeah. So I had to be okay with that. I didn't want to show myself on screen. I didn't want to put myself into my community of 100x of something that I'm not. I didn't want to fake it. I didn't want to fake who I was. Why was I going to, how was I going to make a script? How was I going to put makeup on and show something that I'm not?
Yeah.
I had to be real. I had to be true of who I was.
Yeah.
And so I had to face my fear of, it was a fear of man, Joseph. I had to face the fear of man and not care what people think and people say. Because there was a season in my life because of the whole real estate thing. Yeah. And now 100x, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that don't understand 100x, that maybe are not a part of 100x, that are friends and family of ours that really, truly don't understand what it is. And I am, and I've heard that there's some talk of, and it's just because they don't understand. They don't know. And it's okay. And I have to be okay with that. Yeah. So I'm not going to stop doing my purpose. My husband's not going to stop his purpose from the fear of man, of the fear of people, judging or not understanding. So I had to come out of that and say, nope, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm just going, I know what I heard God. I heard what God wanted for me. I heard God when he said, when he told us what to do and we said yes. When we said yes to 100x, we had to lay down the fear of man and not care what anyone else said.
Yeah. Wow.
Not anyone. So we had to put that down. We had to lay that down and say, we don't care anymore.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just have to literally, whatever God says, we do. And that's all and that's who we listen to. That's it.
Yeah. So there's a few things that I have seen happen with you in this last year and a bit. So I've been journeying with 100X from July last year, so nearly from the beginning. And maybe we can touch on this a little bit. The first thing is, I remember that painting. There was a painting of a father, and you talked about how this painting really impacted you. Maybe we can talk about that quickly.
Yes. So our first conference in 100X was here in Vacaville, California at the Mission Church. And we had one of our members of 100X, and she's also a member of the Mission Church, and she's a prophetic painter. And she blessed us. She has blessed us all three conferences of painting on stage during worship. And she paints with her fingertips. It's amazing. Her fingertips are her paint brushes. I've never seen anything like it. And, I was very busy. I've been very busy with all the conferences, but the first conferences I was in and out. And unfortunately, I was not in for worship during the set that she was painting. And worship was over, and I came into the sanctuary, and I saw the painting that she just had finished painting through worship. And I saw it and I thought, oh, that's a beautiful painting of a father-daughter. And at first I thought, oh, that's cute. I thought in my mind, oh, that's Pedro and Sophia, my daughter.
Yeah.
And I heard very clearly the Lord told me, no, that's not Pedro and Sophia. That is you, and that is me.
Wow.
And the painting was on a beach, and the father figure and this little girl that was probably about 5 years old, and about 5 years old in the painting. You could tell that it was a little girl around the ages of 5 or 6 years old, and they were looking at a sunset. The sunset was going behind them, and it was the ocean. And that's my happy place, is the ocean. I have two happy places, the ocean and Disneyland. That could be another story. But the ocean is my happy place. That's where I connect with God. That's where I could hear God's voice clearly. So when the Lord told me, no, that is you and that is me, it broke me.
Wow.
It broke me because I always knew that God was my heavenly Father. And even though I have an earthly father that I wasn't really brought up with, and we kind of have a distant relationship, me and my father. And so I was kind of missing that intimacy with a father. And even though I knew my earthly father is here present, but I had more of a desire for more of a deep connection. And through this painting, the Lord showed me that connection that I was missing, he filled me in an instant by this painting.
Wow.
He filled that missing part of my heart in an instant by that painting.
It's amazing.
So I now have that painting. I have that painting in my closet, and I see it every day. And it's just it's a reminder that he is our Father.
Yeah.
He is our Father. Like, in every way, he's proud of us. He wants us to win. He wants us to prosper in every way. That yes, we fall, we have shortcomings, but he's there to pick us up, and he's there to wipe our tears, and he's there to say, okay, do it again. Do it again.
Wow.
So I have to tell you that conference, I know there was a lot of testimonies and there was a lot of breakthrough that first conference. That conference was for me.
Yeah.
To get that painting, to receive that from the Father.
Wow.
If that conference was just for me, it was well worth it.
Yeah.
It was well worth the investment that we did. If it was just for me to get that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's so cool. Yeah, I know that moment when I watched you talk about it, that was so profound, and it was a launching pad, you know. I'll say one more thing. Like, there's so much creativity in you. Through 100X, I guess I'm seeing the creativity come out. For those of you guys that don't know, like, we went to a conference. There's been 3 now that I've been a part of. And Suzette organizes this whole conference with an awesome team who are all behind the scenes working like crazy with a smile on their face. And then Suzette loves to do a couple of things. She loves to bless people with crazy prizes, like expensive purses and crazy vouchers. And then she loves to feed people. So she will go and cook food with her hands for us. Now, you got to tell us, why are you like that? What's the deal?
Well, it goes back for my mom and my grandmother. My mother and my grandmother would wake up every morning, have their coffee, and talk about what they were going to make that day to eat. I mean, that was their morning routine. And so that just, I guess that part of me started way back then, you know, just that passion for food. And anyone that would enter my house, my mom and my grandmother had to feed. They had to feed. Like, they didn't care if you just finished eating. You had to sit down at the table and eat, you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember in high school, my friends would go, we're going to your house after school. There was going to be a buffet waiting. She had food constantly on the table. So that's just me. That's who I was. That's who I am. Like, I love to feed people. Like, when you feed people, it touches a certain part of their heart, you know? Yeah. And so of course, I over the years, and I have to say, Food Network was a big part of, you know, me, you know, at night watching Food Network and watching, you know, and just having a love and a passion for food. And what other better way to show someone love through me is through my cooking and through my giving. Food, I mean, any kind of food. I mean, it's just one of those things that I'm just so passionate about. And I love doing it, even though it's a lot of work. And when we served over 600 people for 2 lunches and breakfast at the conference, it was a lot of work, but it's a lot of joy. I'm extremely joyful when I do that. Extremely joyful. So so it's a little crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah, and guys, like, this is not even like, oh, okay, I'm just going to do this for a conference or something. Suzette's always like this. We got to go stay at their house when we went last time, and she was always making sure everyone's fed. And here's the thing. Right now, you're also cooking for some people with the small team. How many people are you guys cooking for?
Well, I just finished yesterday. There was 3 of us in the kitchen. We just finished a conference at our church at the Mission. And I served about 150 people that we did 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches for. So it's so it's it was fun. And again, it's just something that I love to serve. I love to serve, you know, others. So it had nothing to do with the 100X. I had to serve my local church, you know. Yeah. And I've been doing that, for about 7 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I love this. So, guys, like, we're hearing something here because this is a gift. Like, she is operating in a gifting. I think the church maybe has undervalued this gift for a long time. But, like, this is a gifting. Like, she's anointed for it, and she does it in a way where someone looks and goes, wow. Like, you know, like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we all have different gifts, right? I mean, I look at people that are singers and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I would, you know, I won't be able to do that. Everybody has their own different gifts, right? But I do think, though, Joseph, you've kind of nailed something on that. I do feel that the gift of hospitality and cooking is kind of dying down a little bit. And I believe that here in America, especially, that we used to have this thing called home education in our schools.
Right. Yep.
And I would say, and I'm not going to speak for all school districts, but I know here in California, I think that's no longer existing. That's no longer available in the school districts.
Yeah, wow.
And so I believe our children And it's generations now. I believe now it's already been pulled from schools for a while now, over 10 years. Yeah. So I believe like these new generations are losing that ability to host, to make a meal in their house, to sit down as a family. Like, I've said this a little bit, like I would love to see Sunday dinners back where people, came together on a table and broke bread together. We used to go, back when I grew up, we would go to people's houses every weekend to break bread. My mom would have invited people over for dinner. That's kind of a lost thing now, because we live in a world of convenience now. Everything's convenient.
Yeah.
You can order food, it comes to you. You could grocery shop, it comes to you. Literally, we could live in a society that you never could leave your house. Everything comes to you.
Yeah.
Social media interaction comes to you by you sitting in your bed, sitting on your sofa. So that intimacy of that hospitality and breaking bread together is we're losing it because of convenience. Well, don't get me wrong. I like convenience when it needs to be, right? When I get home from a trip or a vacation, I really don't want to go to the grocery store, but I need bread and milk, right? It's at my house in 30 minutes. I mean, that's great. That's how it should be, right? Yeah. Or, you want to order a pizza and it comes to your house, because you've had a long day. There's nothing wrong with that. But I believe our society it's becoming the norm. It's becoming the normal. And so we're losing that personal connection to people, personal connection to go to a grocery store, to go to a restaurant and interact with people. It's because it's becoming a norm in our society.
Yeah.
And so I would love to be able to see Sunday nights dinners back in our homes.
Yeah. Man, that's such an awesome gift, right? Hospitality. It's like you usher people into the love of God. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
So now that you are starting to express your creativity in different ways and you're starting to feel like you're coming out, what are some dreams that you have? Like, I know you talked about a book. I mean, a while ago, maybe you would have never thought you were going to write a book, right? Like, you talked about being dyslexic and the challenge of that. Maybe you can talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, first of all, never thought about a book. Like I said earlier, I'm dyslexic. So spelling is not my thing. Thank God for now these phones that you could correct spelling on.
Yeah.
But there's always there's ways around writing a book. I don't have to go pen to paper. I could use I actually started writing the book and I just typically use my notes in my phone. Yeah. I just speak into it and I'm just creating as I go along.
Yeah.
I want to really have a voice for women that feel like they have been in the shadow of their husbands, a shadow of the entrepreneur. And it's not just for wives. I say wives because I'm speaking for myself, but it's for spouses. For spouses that are maybe have a stronger presence in the house of an entrepreneur, right? Because usually when you're an entrepreneur, you're a little bit more of a shaker and a mover, right? You know, and usually opposites attract, right? So you could have someone that's a little bit more of an introvert. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're not an introvert, you're out there, you're talking, you're speaking. So I really want to show spouses to let people know you do have a name. You do have a name. You have a purpose.
That's powerful.
And it's okay. And if you find your purpose within your spouse and what he's doing, beautiful. Yeah. Amazing. But you just have to be true to yourself and know that that's where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so the book eventually will come out. No promises when. It will become, I'm actually thinking of kind of making a combo book of my stories.
Yeah.
And with a cookbook.
Yeah.
In between. So it'll be my stories and my cookbook all in one.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yes. Coming
and
soon.
now,
Don't know how soon, but coming soon.
and now you're starting to cook online, like you did a live cooking show a couple of days ago or a week ago. How was that?
Yes. Okay. Nerve-wracking. I did a very hard recipe.
Yeah.
So, I did a very hard recipe. So, but it was fun. Pedro was in the kitchen with me. I got to share what I do, what I'm passionate about. Yeah. And all of my recipes are my recipes. I don't go through a recipe book at all.
Wow.
I get inspired maybe by a recipe. I get inspired by when I go to restaurants and I eat something I like and I dissect it and I ask for the ingredients. Yeah. But I would say for the last 10, 15 years, I have not looked at a recipe. Never once. I just create. So that's just a passion of mine where I just create things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to step out. I'm going to go to the other side of my vehicle now because I believe my phone is dying here on me, Joseph, and I don't want that to happen. So want that to happen.
We've been going nearly an hour. Yeah.
Oh wow. So that was super fast.
Yeah.
So that will be coming soon. That will be coming soon, the book.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. And also in terms of your creativity and this voice that I feel like God's starting to give you, is there anything you want to say to women? Like, this is Wonder Woman Week at Fuse Life, and there's women from all kinds of walks right now that will be listening to you and watching you. Is there anything you feel like you want to say? Oh, do we still have you? All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Is there anything specific you'd like to say to empower the women that are watching this and maybe don't feel in such a strong position in their life at the moment?
Yeah. Could you hear me, Joseph? I just want to make sure you hear me. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I had to take my...
Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. You just cut off. She jumped out. She's going to come back on. I think this has been a great episode, even though we're just trying to make it work with all the technical stuff. So let's just give her a minute to see if she's going to come back. But we've already been going 50 minutes or 55 minutes, really. So it's nearly an episode done. I was just going to ask her for some last empowerment advice, which she might come on here and give. But hopefully you got something from that. Like, I'm really blown away at the fact that hospitality is a real gift, cooking is a real gift, and we're seeing someone walking it out. So
hello, I'm back.
Let's see if she's coming back on.
I'm back.
Here we go.
Yay.
Boom. Okay. All right.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So yes, that was my Bluetooth that clicked in.
Yeah.
That was my Bluetooth. So so let me tell you. So where I left off. It's okay to be afraid. It is okay. Now, fear is not okay. But sometimes when you feel that fear, it's a push. Take that feeling of fear and step out and just do it. No matter what it is. If you're even needing to find your purpose, explore. Don't be afraid of your voice. God gave us a voice to use. You know, I'm now like in 100X, I tell the new people, it's okay. Do a live video. We had to start somewhere, you know? Even if, find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you're good at. If you're good at sewing, you know, if you're a mom that homeschools their kids and you're passionate about that, share that. Because I know for me, that was not something that I would not be interested of. But maybe there's moms out there that need that. Mm-hmm. And they need a voice. So, be that voice for that person. Mm-hmm. And if you feel like you're being in the shadow of your spouse, we have our own shadow. It's okay to walk alongside of our spouses and our shadows collide. But we have our own shadow. We have our own voice. So don't let fear, don't let society, don't let men, the fear of man, stop you, to try to find your true identity, and just do it. Step out. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Wow.
Okay, yeah, maybe someone could laugh at you. Maybe someone could comment, but who cares? Yeah. Our loving Father Our loving Father is not laughing at us. He's applauding us.
Yeah.
He's applauding us for stepping out. He's not laughing at us. He's not laughing. He's applauding. Yeah. And I'm sure for that one person that maybe didn't applaud, or maybe had a rude comment, or maybe told you, oh, you can't do that, or you're just a mom right now. There's hundreds of people that will support you and clap your way through that. So.
Come on.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I think when Suzette's starting to release this book, whenever that is, we might have to do another episode so we can talk about it a bit more. But I just want to say thank you so much, Suzette, in between everything you're doing, for showing up here and making this work through all of it. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure. Sorry with all the hiccups with the phone, but I had a lot of fun. Joseph. Man, thank you very much for having me.
This was powerful. Just before we finish, I normally get all our guests to share either a quote or a scripture or a line from a song, something that they've found really impactful in their life. Is there something like that for you that you want to share? Or wisdom bomb?
Well, there is a scripture that has been that I just hold on very dear. It's Jeremiah 29:11. Jeremiah 29:11 is my scripture, you know. Yeah. That, you know, anything that I feel, you know, like I feel that that fear may be coming in, or that, you know, that unknowing, I just lean on Jeremiah 29:11. You know, that's my scripture. But I do have one that I like to share, and I think I've been saying this. It's like, you know, step out of the shadow. You have your own.
Wow.
Whatever shadow it is. Maybe it's not a spouse's shadow. Maybe it's a shadow of someone else that you're trying, you know, that you've been under. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's a boss. You know, maybe it's a friend. You know, step out of that shadow. You have your own shadow.
I love it. Step out of your shadow. Well, there you go, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. That's pretty much the end of our episode at the moment. We have another special episode coming up tonight as well. But Suzette, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone else, we're going to say bye right now. Suzette, you can stay with me. But everyone else, we're going to talk to you.
Bye, guys.
Talk to you later.
Faith and patience. Faith and patience. Patience means allow it to happen. Stay the same. Stay persistent. Keep going. Faith, know that it can happen at any moment. Get excited because it can happen at any moment. You were so close. Don't quit now. Keep pushing. You got this.